All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and good morning to the folks on the West Coast.
Morning.
Welcome to Exotic Automation. This is our first Motion Control Summit. Today, we're going to be talking with the legendary John Force and talk about his racing career and the highlights of what he's done in his life, how he prepares for the big day. And so we welcome everybody. We really appreciate that you're logging in today. And we'll get started.
Yes, thanks for joining us.
So just one quick side note, if you've got some questions, please feel free to type it into the chat box section under your Zoom login. And we'll get to those questions as we can. But I guess to start, John, welcome. We appreciate your time. Can't hear.
Okay, they're talking to you now.
Everybody can hear?
There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Of course, I'm finally here.
Hey, John.
Make sure you can read that sign, Sarah Parker Store. Can you see it?
Yep.
We can.
On my hot rod. Okay, and Baldwin Filters. I apologize, everybody, that I'm late. I'm John Forrest, 16-time NHRA funny car champion. I'm here in my museum. Got my hot rod behind me. But we couldn't get on this Zoom call. So we've been trying everything. We went upstairs and came back. So now I'm ready. I'm wound up from running the stairs. Hi, everybody.
All right. Hey, John.
Hi, John.
Welcome.
Welcome.
I'm not computer savvy here, but Sarah's our PR. She'll run all this. But there's two individuals. Mike? Raise your hand, Mike. Okay, and
Hey,
who's the
John.
other individual?
Rick Roberts.
Rick Roberts.
Okay, Mike and Robert. Okay. Anyway, I hope it's nice. You're in Detroit area.
It's nice. We got a little bit of snow the other day. We got about 8 inches of snow, which wasn't too bad. They're calling for another 4 tomorrow night, but you know, by St. Patrick's Day, it'll be nice and warm.
Yeah,
So we're good.
We kept giving Sarah numbers because we do this all the time in our studio, our production company here in Yorba Linda, California. But we couldn't get it to come on, so we ran upstairs to another one that we use up there. But I wanted the car behind me. So anyway, I'm ready to go to work.
All right. Well, great. Again, we appreciate your time today. I've been looking forward to talking to you for a while now. Rick and I have some questions prepared. And again, we want to talk about, you know, John Force Racing and your career and the highlights and the things that you love. And I guess first question out of the gate is, what lured you into racing?
Well, first of all, let me say I love this job. Thank you for having me on. My job is to sell, you know, Parker, all of their hydraulic stuff and hoses and stuff, and Baldwin Filters. But your group is Exotic Automation, correct? Is that something right?
Yeah,
That's correct.
Another handsome fellow came on there. So it's Exotic Automation out of the Detroit area. So I want to make sure I'm talking to the right group. Okay, now I'm ready. Ask me questions.
All right. Well, let's first again. So John, what lured you into the racing world? I mean, you're a young kid. You got involved in the early '70s, right? And it took some time to really put those wins on the board, but you stuck with it. But what lured you into it? It's such a fascinating sport.
Well, you know, as I was a kid, I grew up in a little trailer house. We got plenty of time here, I guess they said, right?
We got all day.
Okay. I grew up in a trailer house, 5 brothers and sisters. My dad was a truck driver. My mom was a cook. At Denny's restaurant, I've done all of that. And but when you live in a trailer house, the first thing you want to do is you want to get out of it. So a motorcycle or a car is the only way to get away. And so cars become my life. Riding around, listening to Elvis, listening to the Beach Boys, Merle Haggard, you know, that was a way of life. So cars were always my thing. But I love the cheer of the crowd. I love playing football in high school and college. And I just thought, you know what? I need to put a helmet on because I was never going to make it in the pros. I wasn't that good. So I let a race car do the running for me. And that's what really got my interest, and that goes clear back to high school. The first time I snuck my mom's, I raced for Chevrolet, but another General Motors, my mom's Buick Wildcat. I took the Lions drag strip in Long Beach and won my first trophy. And I got home and my dad was so mad he cut my surfboard in half. So that was my interest for racing. And of course, I'm with a football team at the races. I've got 3 teams now. I had 4, I've gone to 3. But in the middle of all this, the camaraderie of the people, and then the cheer of the crowd, the fans, and then I get to go out to, to Parker and do their stores and entertain people, kind of like what I'm doing now, but I can see the look on that guy's face. He calls this entertainment. Best I can do. Hey, you got a dragster behind you. Whose yellow dragster's that?
Must be.
That's not my yellow dragster, but it's a picture I took at Norwalk.
But you made me feel it. Oh, okay. You made me feel at home there. Okay, I got to calm down and get back into this interview. Okay.
No problem at all, John. Again, this is going to be pretty much open format for us today. So you're a young kid, you want to get out of the trailer house, and you got in your mom's car, you took it down, you started racing the wheels off it, right? So did the blood hit you at that point where you're like, I want to race? Or was it earlier on when you're just a little kid? I mean, really, what a thrill, but what pulled you in? Was it just to get out of the house? Did you have buddies involved in it?
My daughters came up in racing. They raced in Super Comp. That's a junior dragsters. Then they were 50, 60 miles an hour. Junior Super Comp was the speeds kept going up. They went to A fuel running 260. Then they went to 300 driving the fuel cars. But I really didn't evolve through that. My grandchildren right now are driving junior dragsters at 6 and 7 years old. I was just down in Verona watching my granddaughter and them racing. But I never had that opportunity. But I loved cars. I raced bicycles as a kid, motorcycles, and I just I never answer a question, do I keep jumping around? But nope, racing just got in my blood. I had some relatives that were doing it professionally, and I followed their lead, and here I am today.
Wow.
I'm 100 years old and I'm still driving.
Hey, John, was there somebody that said, hey, let's go drag race, or was drag racing always your first thought when you were younger, or did you look at roundy rounds or anything like that? Was it you always knew you just wanted to drag race? Is that what you got the most thrill out of?
Well, I always loved racing, but NASCAR was another world. IndyCar was another world. My daughter Courtney, that drove funny car for me. We just had a new granddaughter named Harlan, beautiful little girl, and but her husband is Bobby Rahall's son, Graham Rahal, and he's an IndyCar driver. So I've loved all of them sports. And NASCAR, I knew Earnhardt, I know Earnhardt Jr. and Gordon and all of them, and Bush and all these guys. But drag racing was like anybody could do it. If you got a car, put on a seatbelt, put on a helmet, go out to the local drag strip, and you're a drag racer. You know what I mean? And so I kind of evolved into that. But no, I've driven at Rockingham. I got licensed in a NASCAR there. I've never been in an Indy car. But nope, I stayed in funny cars from 1973, 74. I started my career. I was driving a truck at the time. I was a Teamster, and in the middle of it, here I am. Don't know how I got here. Surround myself with great people and great sponsors, and that's how I got here.
Interesting. John, you say that anybody can drive a dragster, right? But not anybody can drive 338 miles an hour.
Well,
right?
we held Robert Height, my son-in-law. He drives our Auto Club Chevrolet. Of course, I drive for Peak and Parker Store, and a group. Brittany drives for Flavor Pack and the Monster Energy Top Fuel Dragster. She won the championship a couple years ago. Roberts won 3. I won 16. So we do really well. But racing was just something I got into. out there with a bunch of guys and gals. My wife worked with me from the very beginning and still does to this day. We love the racing and we love watching our children race. 3 of my daughters drove, and then of course my grandchildren, Autumn and Jacob and Noah, they're driving. So we'll see where the future goes. We got to get through this year that we've been through, and everybody stay healthy and social distance and all that stuff. Wear masks like I'm not doing now, but I'm by myself here, except for Sarah's 10 feet away. But no, I've been really lucky, and I surround myself with great people and great sponsors.
Going on that about staying healthy, last year you decided to not go through the whole season. How can you tell us a little bit about what thought process came into your mind about not doing the whole season, and kind of and what you were doing to prepare for the new season?
Well, we you know, when the season started last year, we ran the opening race at Pomona. A couple of my cars, I was one of them, got to the semis. We were up in the points. We moved on to Phoenix, and then we got to Gainesville, Florida, which is where we're going in a few weeks. We're going to West Palm Beach to test, and then over to Gainesville to run the Gator Nationals. But along the road, this pandemic hit. Haven't ever seen this in my lifetime, anything like this. And we had to evaluate, you know, what our sponsors needed. They pay the bills, and we needed to be able to go out and entertain, you know, bring customers to the races, you know, and you couldn't do that. They were stopping the crowds. And so we went through the end of the second quarter, and we finally made a call. Let's reset it to next year. They didn't run the 24 races. They only ended up running like 10 or 11. So I was lucky I set it out, but all my sponsors came back with us. So we're getting ready to kick off again, but it was a long 10, 11 months, because you get it in your head during a pandemic, you start getting lost, like why we got to get our kids back in schools. They need that way of life to get educated, but also just to be with their friends and have a reason to get up in the morning and go to work. I go to work every day, even on the weekends. So we kept it together and we brought it back, and now we're starting again. I'll be flying to Indy in the next couple of days after I do some media here at the shop here in Yorba Linda, and I'm going to go to Indy where our teams are based out of and get them ready to go, and then we go testing.
You know, John, it sounds like you do a lot of preparation. So you're looking forward to the 2021 year, you know, and in our business, we're always talking about being prepared to go see our customers, being prepared to deliver that product. What type of preparation do you guys go through yourself and your family and your team to get ready for the season?
One, the drivers got to stay in shape. You know, we're all continually dieting, and you know, I got a workout gym in my home. We work out because reaction's what it's all about in the race car, and reacting at over 300 miles an hour. If the car gets in trouble, motor blows, you're on fire. I mean, you got to be able to think and not let the pressure of the moment stop you from what you've learned over the years, how to keep yourself alive in that car and protect the driver you're racing in the other lane. But you know, the drivers, so we train on simulators just like they do in IndyCar and NASCAR. In fact, we have them in our shops where we get in, we react to a Christmas tree to keep our reactions quick and fast.
Right.
We can build a simulator in my daughter Brittany's house and in her workout gym, where she can actually go in there and get in the cockpit of her car and have a regular Christmas tree like we have at the racetrack. A Christmas tree is how you react to make you leave the starting line. You pre-stage with a bulb, second bulb is stage, and then when the tree lights up, you got to leave on time. Races are won or lost by the drivers right on the starting line, and then the car does the rest. But we put a simulator in her house, so she trained. But understand, we don't just race cars like a lot of drivers have that luxury. They're hired guns. All they do is drive. But what we do is we run the business. And, you know, we had close to 100 people. We had to cut back on some of our people because of the times right now and financial. but we're continuing doing shows right now, a lot of media stuff like this that we're doing with you. But we'll be doing appearances throughout the year. So basically we ran the business and kept our teams on and kept everybody motivated. And we got through a hard time, a pandemic. It's still on, but it's going the right direction. And we think everything, should be okay here a little bit, a few months down the road, we're hoping.
Sure.
Hey, John, you mentioned Brittany, and she has the world record for the fastest mile an hour, 338.17. Do you think it'll ever be broken by anybody?
Oh, all records, they're meant to be broken. These cars get quicker, they get faster. We have our shops in Brownsburg, Indiana. We have paint shops. We have chassis shops. We have engine building shops, just like IndyCar and NASCAR. And we're continually building a new mousetrap. The crew chiefs, the lead guys, these guys figure out how to make us faster. That we want to keep these cars lightweight. The aero is very important, running records. And yeah, she set the record in the top fuel car. She really loves it. She's very tiny individual. You know what I mean? I even got myself, losing some weight, not just to lose weight, but to be physically fit. One, to get through the pandemic, but basically to get myself back in shape. Setting out of the car for a year, I got to get back in with these young kids and get ready to fight the fight. So Brittany, like Robert Height, they live it, they love it. It's about winning and doing promotions and shows and stuff. We have a TV production company here in Yorba Linda. My daughter Ashley, that drove funny cars, that she runs now. But basically we produce commercials and videos, and we have a movie theater here. Everything we can to keep getting our sponsors out there and getting them exposure. And that's really what it's all about. And that's what I'm doing here today, for Parker and for Exotic, is try to help you guys grow your business, make sales, or I don't have a job. I don't just race. The racing is the easy part, even though some people say it's the tough part. It is when you're on fire at 300 miles an hour, and I've been there. So, but
we've seen that. We've seen that. It's pretty crazy. But speaking of prepare yourself and mentally prepare yourself. So you're sitting in the seat of the car, you're sitting on the track, ready to go. The Christmas tree starts to go. What's going through your head? If this baby goes south, if I start to cut off, you're prepared for any event just about, right? But at that moment, what's going through your head when it's go time?
I've been racing, almost 40 years. And, it's not like NASCAR and IndyCar where you got to be out there for 3 hours at a time and you get physically drained. Drag racing is a sport of 3 to 4 seconds, at 330. So I've got to keep my mind sharp. I got to stay in the game. But that is the love of it. Wait, what was your question? I lost it.
So you're there and you're like, well, really, what do you mentally prepare yourself if you blow a tire or if something happens to your vehicle when you race it, you're ready no matter what happens, right? You're going through the scenarios in your head. If the guy starts to come to my lane, what am I going to do? You're constantly going through this in your head, right? What happens?
You've saw it. You've been at the races. I think you guys have been to a few, but you don't have time to think. I'm good at what I do, and a lot of drivers, because we have the experience, and you never forget that experience. Many times as I've hit my head and been put in the hospital, broken arms and legs, they said I'd never walk again a few years ago when I crashed, and I came back and won a championship. But you got to react, and you've got to have your rest. You've got to be prepared, but you do it. I guess I'd call it like a Tiger Woods. They always say about golf, you got to get into a zone. And I get into the zone. When I pull up the stage, it's where I unwind myself from the world, from the fans, from the financial costs, all of that. It's like, how do you win? And what you do is you react. So as that tree comes down, when you hit that gas, that thing can lift the front end 3 feet in the air, and you got to negotiate it down that racetrack. You might have to feather the brake. You may have to pedal the gas throttle to get the front end down. It could be smoking the tires and you got to pedal it. Pedaling is getting out of the gas just like you would in the rain in your car to keep it going straight. And you got to get it down that deal. Then you get out in the middle and you're usually okay. You've got through tire shake, but then anything can go wrong. And when that thing makes a right turn on you, we don't usually, I've blown a few tires, but maybe in my whole career, maybe once or twice, but I've had something come out of the engine, a motor explodes and a rod will go through, or a piston will go through a tire. And then you got your hands full and you don't have time to think, you just got to react. You get the parachutes out, there's a handle in the roof, get the parachutes out, get on the brakes, stay off the guardrails, protect the other driver in the other lane, and get it to a stop. And safety safaris down there with their men and women in the trucks to get you out of a car in case you get knocked out, which I have been before. And they got a helicopter there to get you, right at trackside to get you to a hospital if you need it. And but we're really in a pretty safe sport. I've been doing this a long time, and it's really perfect, pretty safe. So no complaints.
That's great. What advice did you give to your daughters when they came up to you and said, Dad, I want to do what you do. I want to get in that car and I want to go 300 miles an hour.
Well, they kind of evolved, like I said, up through the ranks. But I always told them in life, you got to get an education first. And they went to school, and then they were driving just out of high school, and they were driving through college, and they worked their ways up to the pros. Ashley, Brittany, and Courtney. My daughter Adra, she runs my offices. She's got her own band and stuff. She never really wanted to drag race. She wanted to run the company with me and my wife, and that's how we did it. But my girls, I told them, number one, don't do it because you want to be famous, because you might go for 30 years before anybody knows your name if you're not winning. Number two, I don't do it, for the money. Don't do it for fame. Do it because you love it. If you love cars, if you love, doing social media, which is huge now, like what we're doing, if you love being with the fans and working for a sponsor and pitching products, you got to be P.T. Barnum. You got to be a pitch man. So what I'm saying is, at the end of this, do it because you love it, because it's not easy. It ain't what you see on Sunday, when you're in the winner's circle and you're hiking a trophy over your head. That ain't what it's all about. It's all about, you live on the road, you're on airplanes every day, you're in the truck going to the next race if it's close, but you're working 7 days a week, year round. I haven't had a vacation in 40 years. This next to a week or two, this is the first time I had time off where I stepped away from racing, and I hate it. I want to get back. I love the job. It's the reason I live. I've got car museums in Indy and California, motorcycles and cars, but racing is what I do. I don't know how to golf. I don't know how to fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you got to love it is the only information I can get them, but get an education. It is the computer age. You know what I mean? With me, I just got rid of my old flip-flop phone and got the new style. I'm that old school, right? But the world's different. Technology is unbelievable.
Hey, let's move to some of the tracks you raced on. Can you tell us of all the tracks that you've raced, do you have a favorite that you feel like you're always winning at, or that you just like the track itself? Or tell us a little bit about maybe one of your favorite tracks.
Well, I grew up on the racetracks in the last 40 years, and I met so many people. I've watched the kids born. Now the kids are coming, and the grandkids, and I made a lot of friends out there. But we travel the country, all the way to Epping, New Hampshire, all the way down to Florida, Seattle, Texas, Chicago, we're everywhere. And, but you like your home track, like out here at Pomona, California, because a lot of your family goes, even though it makes it really hectic when all the family goes, they all want to hang out that day. But I love Pomona. And I love Norwalk, Ohio. They got a great racetrack there. I've raced there for years. I run there a number of times, a couple times a year. Bobby Bader. I raced for his dad when his dad ran the track. But probably of all the tracks, our big granddaddy, our Go West, is the Indy track in Indianapolis. And that is, I've won a lot of championships, and I've won Indy 5 or 6 times. And the thing is, I love that because it's like, when you win Indy, it's like winning the Daytona 500. You know what I mean? It's like winning the IndyCar race at Indy. You know what I'm saying? So Indy, I would say, and that's why I put shops there in Indiana. It's the middle of the country. And, but I like Dallas. I like them all, but probably Indy, I guess I'd say, is my favorite.
Jeff, what makes one track better than the other?
Well, you know, there's the facilities for the fans, good bathrooms, you know, good views, good RV parks. We got a new sponsor, Camping World, that just come on board. I'm amazed NHRA put that together. But it's a perfect fit for drag racing in NHRA because everyone takes motor coaches. Everybody camps when we go to the races. A lot of us stay in hotels, but the fans come and they camp. And they're right with us, different from NASCAR and IndyCar where they're in the stands. The fans live with us. You know, that's why it's important to get through this pandemic and get the gates open up and get the crowds back. But it's just an exciting deal. I lost that question again. I went off somewhere. Well, what did you ask?
Just what makes the better track, one over the other?
So it's the facilities for the fans and the sponsors. But when you're talking about the racetrack, they have plenty of area, plenty of asphalt for us to park our rigs on. I roll in, I take 10, 18 wheelers. You know what I mean? I take a media trailer. I take 4 teams. Well, it's 3 now. But what I'm saying is, it's all about the track surface, where you actually race. Because when you got a high-powered teams like a lot of teams do and us, it's all about ET and speed, how quick you can get down there and how fast. And you need a good racetrack to do that. Some of the tracks, because of the weather and the conditions, you know, the track, the dirt moves, the ground moves. So it makes the asphalt, maybe it might have high spots in it. And if a car hits a bump, it wants to get airborne and it doesn't allow the rear tires to hook up. So a good track surface, and there's a lot of great tracks. Most of them are great. That's how we set records all over the country. But the track is very important. But NHRA Safety Safari, they prep the tracks and they keep that going to give us a track that we can win races on. And understand, where NASCAR runs NASCAR, IndyCar runs IndyCar, we run all categories: top fuel dragsters, funny cars, pro stock, pro mods, motorcycles, and then all the other categories, you know, for the younger people or the ones that aren't professional. So jet cars, everything. So the track is very important to keep the surface flat, to keep it. Some tracks like Denver, they even got heaters underneath to warm the track when it gets cold. So a lot important there.
Do the guys who own the tracks, do they come to you and look for advice and look for things that they can do better to help you and your team?
Well, we have a pro organization headed by Alan Johnson, where all the teams are parts of it. They work with the tracks. They work with Safety Safari. We have people that go out and inspect the tracks. We want to look, you know, weeks before we get there, what the track surface is. If they poured a new concrete pad for the first, you know, 300 feet, we want to see how smooth they made it. But yeah, the tracks are always open to work with us because it's their livelihood too. And the people come, you know, to see winners. People come to see big speeds. And you know, they put rules on us to slow us down. We keep going faster.
Hey, talk about tracks. You know, I got to bring it hometown here. Did you ever race a Detroit Dragway in your lifetime?
You know, I never did. It went out right when I was coming in the early days. It might have been around for a while, but there was no, there was events up there. I raced at US 30 just out of Chicago. I've been all over that area. back there. But I always wish, because all of my sponsors, when I was with Ford, Mopar, but I'm with Chevrolet now, we're all out of Detroit. I'm up there doing shows all the time. Maybe they'll get me out to Exotic Automation. Maybe Parker will get me up there sometime to do a show.
Well, I'm pretty tight with a couple of those Parker boys. We're going to get you here.
Okay.
We're in a brand new building that we moved in a year ago, the 140,000 square foot. It's absolutely beautiful. And, in our open house, we've talked about bringing yourself and your team and you're up here and help us celebrate.
That'd be fun. We'll look forward to that.
Great.
Yeah, hey, John, just back on the dragway here in Michigan. It'd be great if maybe sometime in the future you thought about opening up a track here in Michigan. We could use a good one, an NHRA track.
They really do. IndyCar races up in that area. There's tracks all over the country, but Detroit, is Motor City. That's what it's all about. Cars, and I live cars. I love them, and we go up there a lot to do shows for Chevrolet, and we do conventions and stuff, and the big auto Rama shows and stuff.
Sure.
It's all about cars up there. We got some tracks that are close to you, right there in Ohio. You can get down there to in the Cleveland area, so it's not far of a drive coming out of Detroit. So there's tracks all over the country, though. If you need a schedule, I can get a schedule for you to tell you locations. If any of the men or women on this call, I hope I'm not talking too much and putting everybody to sleep. I'm just
Doing great.
You're doing great. The track you're mentioning, Ohio, Norwalk Raceway Park, I've been there. Actually, I've raced there. I have a car that I kind of run street strip with and have some fun with it. But Norwalk is a great track. You mentioned Bill and Bob Bader earlier, but that's a great track. And that is only a couple hours from here. And that's, where a lot of us go for see some good racing.
One of my sponsors, Cornwell Tools, is out of Ohio, and they always get together customers and a lot of folks, employees that come up to that track because it's close to their home office. So there's a track close to you folks, and we just have to look at a schedule and see what might work someday.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a great track in Ohio. I was there for your race in June of 2019, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great day. One thing I really noticed about you, which I was super impressed with, is that not only did you come up to you came into the tent, the VIP tent with us, you took pictures with everybody. You were, super nice. And your daughters were there, and some of your chief guy was there, and I could just tell. You love people, and you have the passion for that, and you're driving around on your motorcycle back and forth out in the parking lot there, just talking to people all day. It was really cool to see that. Like, a guy like yourself, like I said earlier, is a legend, right? But man, it was awesome to see, John. You're a good person.
The little scooter you always see me on. I like to go out. I go out sometimes where the motor coaches are just to visit the fans and meet their families and people I've grown up with, and it's fun for me. That little scooter gets me everywhere. My teams have golf carts and stuff where they get the teams to the starting line and the cars up there. But it's a fun weekend if you've never been to a drag race. It's a happening. You can go in there, you can camp, or you can spend a day or two in the grandstands. They always have great food. We do hospitality that our sponsors will book in and bring a group of customers and business people, and we entertain you. We're in the entertainment business. We're P.T. Barnum without the elephants. So it's pretty exciting time, the racing, and I can't wait to get back. I've been off for a while.
So let's get back to the race part. Do you still get butterflies when you sit in that seat? Oh
yeah, knots in your stomach, and not from the fear of getting hurt, because you don't think about that, or you wouldn't get in the car, because it's always out there. I always say the monster's out there, and now we're sponsored by them, Monster Energy. But what I'm saying is that you want to win, you want to be good, you want to set records, so that if you didn't have that knot in your stomach, then you're not really mentally into it. I mean, my daughter said one day, I wake up in the morning and I just feel nauseated. And I said, that means you're ready to go racing, because you have that fear of winning and losing. And you know, you gotta lose before you can be a winner. You got to learn. When I win, I get out and I give them an interview. When I lose, I get out. I give them the same interview and congratulate the other individual. And we have men and women in our sport in all categories. So this ain't a man sport. This is a lady sport too.
Hey, when you mentioned winning and losing, how does, like, when you guys win, let's say you have a great weekend, how does the Force family celebrate, you know, after that day?
You know, we get the teams together after a win. We got a big operation. We've got a lot of employees. There's usually 70, 80 at the tracks, and you know, running our hospitality, running our teams and such, and PR, and we're filming a lot of times, but basically a lot of times there's not a chance because you're loading up. You might be testing the next morning. You'll move down to another track a week later. But you know, if you got some time off and you're not having to get on a plane, yeah, we always take them to dinner. And if we don't, when they get back to where they're going, they get dinner. When you win a race or you're runner up, we always take care of them. You need to celebrate when you win. But that's really what it's all about. I love watching my children race, and now my grandkids. People say, "There's Force over there." My grandson was only, I think he was 6 up at Las Vegas, and he ran the 4 wide. That's where there's 4 lanes, 4 cars, and he didn't even have a clue what the 4 lane was to go down. And he won the race. He got a jacket. He got the jacket just given to him the other night. But my daughter actually had me one made so I could put it in the museum. But I was so proud of that. And they go, "There's Forrest. He's over there crying again because his grandkid won." But all parents know about their children and their grandchildren. But I just love to see them doing the love that I've loved my whole life, and that's just my race cars.
I have to ask, what kind of car was he driving that he won in?
What was my grandson driving?
Yeah,
he's driving the junior dragsters. That's it's a 5 to. They have different categories in it. They only go like 50, 60 miles an hour. And then as you get older, when you get 9 years old, you go to the next class that might go 70, and then the next class might go 80, and then you go into and those dragsters look just like our dragsters, are just smaller.
Yeah.
And but to see a little kid, you know, that's just learned how to drive a tricycle a few years ago, get in one of those cars and go down the other end, oh, that'll scare you to death the first time. But there's hundreds and hundreds of them out there, families doing it, like Little League Baseball, they're doing it.
I suspect he scared you more than he scared himself.
Yeah, the kids, they just take it. My granddaughter, Autumn, they just, nothing to it, Grandpa, it's easy. But boy, you're always worried about somebody get hurt. Something could go wrong. And but we keep these cars, are really safe. They got Simpson race helmets and equipment, fire suits and everything. So they're safe.
So John, before each race, does the John Force racing team go through any type of rituals? Do they sit back and say, how do you plan that? What do you do before the race?
Yeah, we always, we get people together and we usually say a prayer, and, one of our people will do that. In this day and age, you got to be careful. You can pray for one and everybody's happy, and you might have somebody doesn't want to be in that. But the majority, they do, because it's all about camaraderie. It's about being safe and doing a good job. And it don't hurt to put in a prayer. It just doesn't hurt to be safe.
You're right.
But and then it's a rah, let's go rip their hearts out. And that's what we do.
Let's go win, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, Rick's got some questions here that the viewers have kicked in. Want to go for it?
Yeah, we asked the viewers if they wanted to throw in a question. We can read them here. I'll read one for you. Okay, John?
Okay.
It says, of the changes in the sport over the years, which one had the biggest effect in the funny car class? What change had the biggest effect in the funny car class?
You know, if you wanted to say in the motor compartment, probably the exotic clutches that we use. You know, they're air driven, you know, on timers. That's very much critical to making a car fast. The chassis haven't changed much, only in safety. That's why we build our own cars. I had a driver killed, young kid, Eric Medlin, driving for me, you know, years ago. We lost him in a test session in Gainesville. Car just got against the wall and stuff happens. Ain't a perfect world. But I would say big with Chevrolet, they take us to the wind tunnels in Atlanta and Detroit, but mainly the aerodynamics. And that's what have kept John Force Racing, you know, winning in funny car, you know, over the last 25 years. We didn't win them all, but we won most of them. But in the middle of it, aerodynamics was a big part of that. Now I did that driving Ford Mustangs, and now we do it in the Chevrolet Camaros. I started my career with Chevrolet and went to Ford later and then came back to Chevrolet. I'm sure I'll end my career with Chevrolet someday and my teams will go on. But aerodynamics was big. The horsepower with superchargers, it's unbelievable what you can build and make power. You know, these cars got, we don't have a dyno, we have dynos, but we've never pushed a dyno up to 10,000 horsepower, but that's kind of horsepower they make. They run over 335 miles an hour you know, in 3-point-something seconds. They're unbelievable and run on nitromethane and an exotic racing fuel. And so aerodynamics make them slippery. It holds them to the ground to make them fast. The wings on these cars, the aero, keeping the cars light. And then you got the motor train that we build in-house. We build our own blocks and everything, and heads and blowers and manifolds. And we build a lot of safety. And then the clutch is really key. We have Lanny McGleasy as our own clutch specialist, and he came from that world of clutches and he lives it. And we build exotic clutches like the other teams do. We're not the only one, naturally. And so competition's pretty tough, and it's all jammed together. You know, 20-something cars racing, going into a race, only 16 qualify, and it's tough. It's tough, but we always manage to get there.
You know, you mentioned, you know, you're just continually improving the car and going faster. You know, years back, NHRA shortened the track to keep you guys slower. Do you see them implementing any other changes to, have they talked about shortening the track more or making restrictions? Is anything like that going to happen, or is it still wide open?
Well, if you look around the country, a lot of tracks are closing. The cities have grown up around them, housing. But mainly these cars got so fast, these tracks, we had nowhere to go when we shut off. When you run over 300, you need a ways to go. So NHRA tried slowing us down. They put in a lot of safety stuff, you know, catch nets, retaining walls, sand traps, everything to help a driver if he had a brake failure or a parachute failure, to help in a runaway. And they finally reached a point. They thought, you guys are going to run, you know, 350, then you'll try to run 400. And they were all about speed and ET. So they said, what we need to do is change the tracks from the quarter mile, the 1320, and put it to 1,000 feet so we can slow you down. Well, they did that, and we're right back running the same speeds that we ran on the quarter mile, you know, the same ETs, pretty dang close. So drag racers, they're never going to slow them down. That's what they're all about. And these crew chiefs, they live it. So they keep trying, making rules. They put rev limiters on the cars so they'll only get up so fast, and then it tries to shut them off or slow them down. Everything to keep us safe. That's why they do it, for protection.
That's great. Any other questions?
Okay, we got another question here I can say. So one person asked, Kyle asked, what's the most memorable moment you've had since starting his career? First win, first championship, etc. What's most memorable?
Well, you always remember your championships. My first one in 1990, when I won my first race in Montreal. My wife and my kids were little. They were all there back in '88, I think. And winning that first race, because you don't know if you'll ever win. And you know, you chased on Prudhomme and all the Kenny Bernstein, the King of Speed, all these people your whole life, and you want to win. So winning the first race in Montreal, I got out to do an interview and they didn't have TV in Montreal in those days at the racetrack. So I finally got a video 20 years later, somebody filmed it in the stands and sent it to me. Winning my first championship in 1990 at the World Finals at Pomona at Auto Club Speedway. Unbelievable to know that now I've won. Then I won in 90 and 91, and then lost to Cruz Petragon driving for McDonald's. I call it the hamburger stand from hell. You couldn't beat him. I was rolling over on my roof every time I raced him, trying to beat him. So I lost in 92, and then I came back in 93 and I won 10 years. I won straight, 10 championships. Hell, the Yankees never did that. So, and then I lost for a year, and then came back, and then my other driver was won, and then you know, Robert come along, he won. My daughter, you know, I went to Indy, but things that were special because you love your children. You know, when my daughter Brittany or my daughter Ashley drove the Fuel Funny car like me, and she won her first race at Atlanta. And oh, I cried like a baby. They couldn't talk to me. You just never thought, you know, women didn't drive funny cars. They drove dragsters like Shirley Muldowney and a few of them. Now women drive all the categories. But to see your child win in something you've given your whole life to, so many memorial, so many things that are important. But let me tell you, what you never forget are those crashes. And you wake up in a hospital bed, you don't know where you're at. I woke up in a helicopter once, it scared me to death. I didn't know where I was at, but God's been very good and protected me, and these cars are good and my teams are the best. And so I got no complaints, but it's about the products, you know, that we use. And you know, I run Peak motor oil and antifreeze in our trucks. Of course, I drive Chevrolets and Auto Club, I'm insured by them. Cornwell Tools, we use their tools. You know, Parker Story, it's really funny and ball when we use their filters. But Parker, we use their hydraulics and all of our stuff. We use their lines and all their stuff. But even on our jacks that we jack the cars up with, the air jacks, you know, they have their air lines and air hoses to those jacks from Parker. And without good products, you can't win. That's really what it's all about. Weld racing wheels and the people that I deal with. Sorry if I ain't looking at the camera here. I get dreaming, I get drifting, talking about stuff. But
You're good.
We enjoy it.
I'm loving this time with you. I hope I ain't putting everybody to sleep.
No,
You're good.
not at all.
Hey, John, I got a question. So when I was at Norwalk about a year and a half ago at the race, again, it was a great day. I noticed that they were testing something on the track. I don't know if they were testing the temperature of the track or the hardness of the track, but they had this tool. Looked like they're pushing it into the track itself. What is your team to get that data back?
Yeah, we have track prep guys that all they do is go out and they've got gauges to put into the concrete to check for the heat, to check the rubber compound, the VHT product that they put on the track or whichever brand they use. Hey, real quick, my daughter Brittany drives Monster Energy. Brittany, walk over here real quick. Huh? You look beautiful. Come on over here. She's been upstairs doing call-ins all day, booking airplane tickets. I just wanted you to say hi to Parker and all their customers. Okay,
You
back
put her
to
on the spot.
okay. She says, Dad, I'll do my own shows when it's my show. So book her up, Parker. She's ready.
Nice, nice.
So when, we have a little bit of time here, do you ever think that your racing career would go plus 40 years like it is?
Well, I never thought that, you know, in most sports, I mean, I'm watching the Super Bowl, Tom Brady's there, you know, with Tampa Bay, and they were talking about his age, and yeah, you know, I think he's 39 or 40. Well, that's old for a quarterback, but he does a pretty good job, right?
Yeah.
He won the Super Bowl. But you look at me, I'll be honest, I don't like saying this, but I'm 71 years old, but I love it. I can now talk to anybody, except for my wife, that I taught her that. But at the end of the day, like I said, racing car is about reaction. So I keep my legs strong. Like I said, we built a simulator in Brittany's house where she can train every day. So you never lose that reaction. And what you learn driving, those skills are there. And all we got to do is give her and me and Robert a great race car. And that's what we do. So never thought I'd last this long. You know, I went into my gym because I had 10, 11 months off. I got on Nutrisystem. I'm not pitching it, but it worked. I lost 25 pounds, and my kids and my wife really helped me with it. And I got overweight. A lot of things that I got screwed up and stressed from the business, but I never realized how much I loved it, how much I missed just sitting here in front of this computer and talking to you, because it's a way of life. You know, Brittany says, we got to go back to work. We just got to go back. So when they told me I'm doing an hour show, I said, I'll do 3 hours. I want to work. I want to get the word out for my sponsors, Parker and Baldwin Filters. They're really good to me. They really are. And I love being back to work. And we're all going to get through this pandemic. Just social distance, wear your mask. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I got my first shot 3 weeks ago, Pfizer, and I'm going down to get my other shot this afternoon. Now they say this hits you sometimes, but I get to get that out of the way because I'm tired of thinking about it. Don't know if it'll work, but they say the science says it does. So I'm going down there with bells on.
There you go. Well, John, we're gonna we really appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. You know, to the best of luck with you and the John Force Racing team. And when you're in Norwalk next time, I'll be down there again to see you. And again, we want to thank you so much from everybody from Parker and Exotic Automation, and the best of luck with you guys. Good luck, and bring home the trophies. And we're here to support you and you know, cheer you on.
That's what we live for. I appreciate this style of show that you did. But I want to say, on behalf of Parker and Baldwin Filters and all their stores, you need hydraulics, you need hoses. We got it all. We got filters. We got the best stuff, and I'll verify that myself. But what I'm saying is, without them, I don't exist. And without you, I don't exist. So I thank you. You brought me on. I love y'all. And thank you for the great questions. I know I talk too much, but boy, I've been sitting, you know, and I needed this today. So God bless you all. And let's all stay well. And let's go drag racing. I'll see you at the races.
We'll see you at the races. Thanks, John. Have a great day.
We'll see you.
Okay.